I never used to be afraid of the dark. I grew up in an old house with creaky floors and whispering pipes, so I was used to weird noises. But ever since I moved into my new apartment, I started feeling watched. At first, it was easy to ignore. I'd wake up in the middle of the night with a strange feeling like someone was in the room with me. But when I turned on the light, nothing was there. It was just my imagination. Or at least, that's what I told myself. Then I started noticing small things out of place. My bedroom door, which I always closed before bed, would be slightly open in the morning. My phone charger would be unplugged, even though I hadn't touched it. Once I found my closet door wide open, and I never sleep with it open. But the worst part? The dreams. They started about a month after I moved in. In the dream, I'd be lying in bed, frozen, staring at the foot of my bed where a tall, thin man stood watching me. His face was blurred, but I could feel his eyes boring into me. He never spoke, never moved, just stood there, breathing heavily. Each time I had the dream, he got closer. At first, he was across the room. Then, a few nights later, he was standing at the side of my bed. One night, I woke up gasping because in the dream, he had leaned down inches from my face. I started dreading sleep. I stayed up as late as I could, exhausted but too afraid to close my eyes. But no matter what, I always woke up at 3:13 a.m., heart pounding, feeling like I wasn't alone. Then, one night I saw him. It wasn't a dream. I woke up suddenly feeling that suffocating presence. The room was dark, but the streetlight outside cast just enough light for me to see. There, at the foot of my bed, stood a man. He was tall, unnaturally thin, his arms hanging awkwardly at his sides. His face was completely covered by a white mask, expressionless except for a slight, unnerving smile carved into it. He didn't move. He just stood there, breathing. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't move. My body was paralyzed with fear. Then he tilted his head, just slightly. That tiny movement sent me into a panic. I fumbled for my phone on the nightstand and turned on the flashlight. In that split second, he was gone, just vanished. The room was empty. I barely slept for the next few nights. I kept my lights on, barricaded my door, even moved a chair against my closet. I told myself it was just sleep paralysis, a bad dream, but deep down I knew. And then something happened that I couldn't explain away. I set up my phone to record while I slept, just to prove to myself that it was all in my head. The next morning, I checked the footage. For the first few hours, nothing happened, just me, tossing and turning. Then, at exactly 3:13 a.m., the screen glitched for a second, and when it came back, the closet door was open. I stared, frozen. I hadn't opened it. I knew that, but that wasn't the worst part. At 3:15 a.m., my blankets shifted, as if something invisible had moved them. I threw my phone across the room. I don't remember packing my things. I don't remember running to my car. But by sunrise, I was at a motel, shaking and exhausted. I moved out that week. The landlord was annoyed, but didn't ask too many questions. As I was leaving, I asked if the last tenant had ever complained about anything strange. He hesitated. Then, in a low voice, he said, "The guy before you, he left in the middle of the night too. Never said why." I never went back. A month later, out of curiosity, I checked the apartment listing online. It was still empty. The photos showed the bedroom exactly how I left it, except in the picture of the closet door, the edge of the frame was just slightly ajar, as if someone was standing inside, watching.